When I speak about living your truth or being in soul alignment, in your highest guidance, I love explaining it by way of archetypes and archetypal ideas, because that gives us a universal expression that we can relate to and we can develop. But I want to give you a quick sort of hack in order to just start inquiring about, am I living my truth or not? And that quick hack is actually a question. It is the question of who is asking the question. So let me explain. When we live our truth, the whole idea or notion about living the truth has many, many, many different layers and many different levels. We have our soul and we have our ego, and we have many trillions of points in between us as we become more soul embodied, as we align our personality selves to our higher self. You can have many different terms for it, but that's really the journey of awakening, is to align our human selves with our divine selves. Like I say, many different languages. I don't really care about the language you're using. And the question to ask about, am I living my truth, is to ask through what lens, at what point are you asking that question? Asking the question through purely an ego point of view. And that's not wrong. It's not like this is the right way and that's not wrong way. But so often we are speaking and living our truth purely from an ego perspective. And like I said, it's not wrong. I just want to give you the awareness of what does really being in alignment with your highest truth means. It means that you're aware of the different levels and the different layers and the many different perspectives, because the ego often speaks through the lens of conditioning, history, ignorance, trauma, wounds, simple perspectives. And by simple, I mean that which we can understand and that which we can deal with in this life. And in this life, we often have to deal with things that give us safety, security, stability. And that's where the ego comes in. The ego will speak our truth from that perspective. The soul may be a complete different story. And so often it's said as if you're in soul alignment, if you're in divine alignment, you will follow your highest bliss. Joseph Campbell said that. Here's the thing. He was not necessarily speaking from the ego perspective, because our highest bliss is not necessarily what the ego thinks it is. It's not necessarily the most comfortable, the easiest, the thing that makes us physically feel the best. The soul may have a very different perspective. Now, here's the interesting thing. Once you live fully in alignment with your soul, or on the journey, more of your soul is running the show, so to speak. Once you are open to allow more of your soul into this life and speak and act and live more from it, you won't necessarily feel the discomfort so much. So the alignment will be more blissful because you're actually doing it from a different lens. You are not speaking necessarily from the old egoic ego lens that wants things a certain way before it feels aligned. Like I say, that's not wrong. It's just a certain level of truth. And once we start to understanding that there's a multitude of different levels, then we're really on the way to live our truth, because it's not just a single point and we don't get to bang, now I'm just fully aligned in my truth. It's a continuous awareness of where does it, how much of my soul expresses it itself. And just that question, what or who is speaking? Is it fully from the ego? Is it from the soul? Is it sort of half ego, half soul? And you may not necessarily get a complete answer. In fact, it is not necessarily for you to answer that question from a because if you answer the question purely from a what is the answer to that, you're actually going into the ego, the old ego context. You want to ask a question to allow for possibility. I want to repeat that. You ask the question to allow for possibility, openness, and awareness. You live your truth. You ask yourself, does this feel aligned? And then you ask yourself, Who is asking the question? Or what part of me is asking the question? And just that question puts you in a state of wonder, in a state of openness, in a state of receptivity, and in a state of exploration. And that's the willingness that you need for your soul to really embody, just that openness, that willingness, that receptivity, by asking yourself, who is asking the question? Try it, and let's see how it goes. With all my love. Bye for now.